Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. We'll go ahead and get started. Hope you're staying warm. It was really exciting this morning because I was able to drive in and see that the temperature was above 10 degrees, so I could wash my car. So that was happy. That was good. We're going to take what we can get, right? It's probably going to only last a couple hours because I hear there's some snow coming, but hey, that's all right. If you are joining us for the first time, please mute your microphone when you're not speaking. If you would like to share your video so that we can all see you, that would be great. If you have questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. You can find the chat in your Zoom control panel, and you'll be able to talk with us. So I will go ahead and put good morning in here, and it might make the chat highlighted for you so you can see it easier. We do have some developers standing by, so if you have a question, please feel free to ask in the chat. You don't have to worry about that at all. We welcome it. If you have a question and would like to, about something I'm talking about, you could unmute yourself and just kind of say, hey, Anne, I have a question. That's fine too. So what we'll end up doing is having a short presentation and then have room for any additional questions that you might have, and those can be in regards to what we talk about today, or they can also be in regards to your own websites that you're working on and developing. So let's get started. If you would like to see some resources that might help you along, there's the Biology Information Technology website, which is us, and you can see kind of what it is that, who we are and what we do. So if you'd like to visit that, it's biology-it.iastate.edu. If you're interested to see what other folks are doing with this luggage platform, you can visit our showcase. And if you go to luggagedocs.info, that will actually be a lot faster, and then you can just put /showcase after it. And that's our next link, was the luggage documentation site. And digital access, so that website is currently being worked on and it will be updated in time. I know that our new accessibility coordinator is working on that. However, there is some good information there. So if you'd like to learn about accessibility, please visit that website and learn some things about how to make your website even more accessible as you're editing. So with that, let's get started with banner best practices. I have organized this talk in terms of, basically, I'm going to run through a quick overview for how to think about banner images and what that looks like on your homepage. And then I'm going to essentially just walk through the questions that we've received that come in quite often in regards to banners. And I'm going to try to answer them the best that I can. If there's a website that I think of, I'm going to pull it up, and we're going to have mostly a conversation in regards to banners and how to use images and banners. So first of all, let's go ahead and take a look. I was going to look at this first. The banner sizes. So when you start to think about banners in general, this could be just a single image or a rotator, it doesn't matter. Let's look at it in terms of what folks are going to see before they have to scroll. So essentially, in this particular example, there is a line that goes basically across here, across the center. I don't know if I can just a second. Okay. There. Can you see my mouse now? I can't tell, but at any rate, okay. I thought I could make this a little bit better, but there is a line that goes across here, and we use that and call it the fold. Essentially, that's what folks will see if they're on a laptop or on a regular kind of standard size monitor, how much of your homepage they're going to see before they have to scroll. Part of the usability discussion that we have around here is mainly about the fact that people, we keep saying people will scroll, and they will if they think there's something to scroll for. So if, for example, they land on your page and there isn't anything that they see visually that looks like is below that banner, they may not scroll. And they may be more apt to go to your menu instead of scrolling to see the content that's on your homepage. So we prefer to have an image that's either kind of a medium size, like in this orange or green, where people can actually see that there's content on your homepage, and then they will scroll. If you have content that you absolutely want on your homepage without people scrolling, then you'll want to make sure that your banner image will be the size that allows for that to happen so that they don't have to scroll. So essentially what happens is that when you have a banner image, I'm going to go ahead and ungroup this maybe. I thought I could, but maybe not. We'll go this route. I think this is a good tool because I just kind of wanted to see, I wanted to show some things. So let's go ahead and take this box, for example, and I'm going to style it to be purple maybe or something so we can kind of see it over the top. If you have more of a square type of image that you're going to be placing and you would like that to be used as a banner, what's going to happen is that as people increase the size of their screen, the image is going to transform at scale. So it's going to scale, 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 get bigger until the edge of whatever display it is that they're using. And that's why sometimes your image looks a little bigger than you might expect, right? Because we're going to scale the image proportionally to fill the width of whatever screen display is being used. So if you, on the other hand, decide I'm going to enter more of a horizontal style image, and it's going to be scaled. When that's scaled, you're going to see that it's not going to fill up the entire space here. And now you're getting closer to this kind of a option, right? Some folks want just a short little graphic of some kind at the top, even more horizontal. So they will crop their images and create a nice image that is even shorter and smaller when they enter it. So they enter images like this so that when they get added as a hero or a banner, when someone expands their screen, they're going to be a little bit more like the green option. So that's a good way to think about images. So you don't necessarily need to know the exact height of the image. You know, we're not going to necessarily give you a specific ratio because the image will scale no matter what size it is to fit that space for the heroes and a regular banner image. So in that case, you'll want to have, it's just good practice to have an image between 1800 and 2000 pixels wide. That way you'll be able to make sure that that image is going to display nicely and with a good resolution for people that are visiting your website. So those are some good things to look at. So if we take this a step further, oops, I was going to add some text, but we'll skip that. All right. Maybe I won't, just so you'll see it and you know what I said. 1800 to 2000 pixels wide is what you want your images to be. All right. So now, what does that really kind of look like on a website or on a laptop? You could see an example here. So if you pretended that there was a little laptop on the table, this is what you would really essentially be getting, depending on the type of banner image that you're using. So that's where it'll help you to maybe understand a little bit more about kind of what sizes to choose. And really it's the proportion, the height, if you want more of a horizontal image or more of a square image. So are there any questions in that regard? As far as images, do most of you understand that? It sounds like maybe so, but it is a little challenging to learn about that in the beginning for sure. You know, how does that work and how does this display? If not, I'm going to just run through some of the questions that we've had, and I'll do my best to answer. And I know Sarah's there too, so maybe she can chat me up if there's something I'm missing. But we just answered the question of what size should I make my banner, and I think 1800 to 2000 pixels is a good range because that's going to be sufficient for a hero banner or a regular content width banner, or even a rotating banner if you choose to do a rotating banner. So maybe I should go through briefly the differences in those, and it might be easier if I'm just using this today and we're gonna kind of draw. It allows me to draw. So all right, so let's go ahead, and this was our banner before, so let's go ahead and make it a banner. Actually, never mind. Let's go back here a second. All right. All right. So let's choose this guy in the middle. Let's look at the orange. So if I was going to be creating a hero, these are all hero images, and they're hero images because they are all the full width of the display, of your whatever display you're on. So if, for example, we go to let me look at a website here. Okay, never mind. Yeah, there we go. All right, so this is a hero banner, and you can see that if I change the size of my screen, like we had discussed, the banner is going to change proportionally to fit that space, and it covers the entire width of the screen. Now, if we were going to look at a regular banner, let's go to here, predictive plant phenomics. This banner image, you see how it stops at the content width? That is considered not a hero, but just a regular banner at content width. So that's the difference between a hero and a regular And then if you want to look at a rotator, you could go to the Iowa State homepage, for example. This is a rotating banner image, and there's numbers here. When we look at the music website, they decided to have a rotator at hero width. And you can understand why, because it's music and theater, and so there's a lot of kind of, you know, a stage sort of idea for this website and concept. So you can see where that makes sense. So now that we have that kind of explained, let's move on to some other questions. So what format should I save my banner image? So when you're saving a banner image, I would save it as a JPEG or a PNG, but I think that a JPEG is probably the best. Isn't that right, Sarah? Okay, so yeah, I think a JPEG is going to be a little smaller than a PNG, depending on the size of the image that you're uploading. But either one is usually where I go. I think of a TIFF when I think of printing. So if you're going to be printing a document, you know, so that's not a digital format that I would be using. So a JPEG or a PNG. Max file size for your banner image. So essentially, I think I don't know if we have it locked down or not, like as far as the banner image size, but you're going to be fine if your banner image size is the 1800 by 2000 pixels, then your file size will be fine. So I wouldn't worry necessarily about it has to be a certain number of megabytes. You obviously don't want it to be huge, but I think that 1800 to 2000 pixels is a good method to use. And if you keep your image at no greater than 300 dpi, you want to make sure that you're not having an image that's got a very large resolution, right? So digitally, the most that we can see digitally is 72 dpi. Like basically you're going to get a 72 dpi image. Like that's digitally what you're going to see, whether you have a 300 or a 72. Like that's pretty much what you're going to see. You might get a little more clarity out of a 300, but it's not going to be significant from what I've seen. 300 is kind of the rule of thumb for printing again, where when you're going to go to print something, it should be at least 300. But I think that you should keep your images at no greater than 300 dpi when you're creating them. Is it okay to make my own text and embed it in my banner image? Yes and no. So like we saw on the music website, I think I must have brought that down. Here we go. You can see that there's some, like this Godspell here is on this banner image. And I think a like large text like this is no problem, right? That's not a problem. You can create alt text pretty easily. It's pretty easy to see. They have additional text on this banner, and I understand why, because I think that they're in some ways required to do that for the production. Also, it's really secondary to someone's experience. Like I think if you go to, you can see that there's a link that says, what did it say? Go to ISU Theater Presents Godspell. So somebody who's using a screen reader is going to see that, and they're going to know that it's going to take them to learn more about Godspell. And you can see that here is the information that's required on the page as text that somebody with a screen reader could read. So I think this is fine. However, if again, this is music, they have requirements. They're, I'm sure, required to put some of this information on here for the production. But I would recommend keeping, think of these large Godspell words as like, you know, and you want to use ISU fonts, of course. Again, this is theater, so I'm using something that's probably not, but this is good. So predictive plant phenomics is great. You want to use an ISU font. You want it to be short, and you would, and whatever text you put on the banner image, you want to be able to put in the alt text. So make sure that whatever it is that you're putting on that image, you can put in the alt text field. And remember that an alt text field should be short and succinct and get all the information across and provide a similar experience for someone who can't actually see the image. So those are good, I think, rules to follow. We have several options for banner images. And if you go to, you can see an example here where this is really cool. And the fact that there's a caption here, that's what we like to call our adventure caption, and it's in the lower corner, I think that drives people to kind of be like, oh, what is that? And then they see that there's more content and can scroll. So this is really neat for that. And you can see that all of this text I can highlight, meaning this is actual text that Sarah has coded, like Sarah's coded the option for you all to be able to add text to the caption fields, and it actually displays as real text to the end users, so those with screen readers can read this. If this was an image, and just like if this red box with the text was an image and placed on here, screen readers could not read that. Also, there's a button here, and screen readers and different tools that folks use for navigating the website for accessibility reasons are going to know that that's a button. And so that's another good aspect of this. So when you click the button, you can read the full article. So, okay. Again, this is a great example for text on a banner image. Iowa State does a good job because they don't ever put, if you notice, they don't ever put a bunch of information as far as text is concerned. It's always short. It can always fit in the alt text field. So make sure that you pay attention to that. Does my banner always have to link? No. So your banner doesn't always have to link. And if you prefer to just have a nice image with a caption on it, that's completely fine. You can do that. You could also just have an image at the top of a page to add interest. So yeah, your banners do not always have to link. And how do I make multiple banner images that display or rotate? We can help you do that. If you would like to have banner images that rotate, we can look at an example. There we go. Oh, I lost it. We can look at this example. This is a rotating banner, and you can see that most of them have a short amount of text on them, and it's a rotator. The rotator should look like this, where basically there's numbers down here that someone with a screen reader could navigate and find. And it should have the pause and play button here on it as well. It is best practice. On some of these, we had done an auto rotator to start before we started talking with accessibility coordinators. And it's recommended that banners do not auto rotate, and instead they show set to show a random image of the stack of the banners that you have when someone comes and visits the website. So that allows for those, again, using assistive technology to be able to have enough time to understand what the banner is and if they want to click on it. And I know this may not be a positive thing to share, but the accessibility coordinator at a recent meeting that we were in shared that less than 1% of people visiting websites actually click on banners and actually click on rotating banners. So it's visually interesting, and it's a nice thing to have to show people what's going on. But research is showing that less than 1% of people actually click on banner images. What kind of image should I be looking for to include on my banner? Images that you want to include on your banner should really be action images. And if you'd like to look at good examples, you can look at the Iowa State homepage. They always have an image with action. There's a certain focus in it, and there's usually people in it. Now, there is one in here where there's not because it sucks, but usually there are people doing something in an image. And again, research shows that we as people like to see people in images, and it's more interesting to us. Also, it's more interesting to have somebody doing something like these ladies are doing some research and working with some sort of scientific equipment here, which is pretty neat. So it also causes a reason for someone to click on it, or helps encourage that to happen. Let's see, what else? I'm just gonna go here. That's okay. Can I put a banner image on a page that is not my home page? And the answer is yes. You can put a banner image on a page that is not your home page. We refer to these types of pages as landing pages because it provides the opportunity for you to create a visual interesting page as a landing page. So like your student resources pages usually will have sort of a landing page style to them. If you have a larger area of focus on your website, you might want to have a landing page for that. And we can certainly help you do that. And you could have banners in addition to content cards or blocks, or you could pull in special information. You could pull in news items that are tagged a certain tag term. So those are all options as well. So I hope that helped answer most of the questions that maybe you had, or I know that those are a lot of the questions that we generally get to try to help answer. Are there any other questions that you have in regards to banners or your own content that you're trying to edit? If you would like a little further explanation on any of these things, or you'd like to talk to me about landing pages or making a banner on your page, or changing it up, or changing your homepage up, please let us know. Send an email to websupport@iastate.edu, and you can see that in the bottom right corner here. And we'll have, again, developers also watching that email, and so we'll be able to get back to you and help you answer your questions in regards to banners. Okay, that's all I have for today. Hope you all have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you here next month. Thanks a lot. Bye.